He's had this dream before, an inflicted reminder wanting what he has denied himself. A tale as old as time, still doomed to lust after the woman who betrayed him. Internal war as resentment battles desire. His psyche forever destined to be open to hurt and pain. He's never fully understood why he dreams of her often. It's because he still loves her deeply. He refuses to be forgiving. He is nothing if not bitter. The dream starts with him being home, alone and bored. Nothing else to do but drink scotch on the rocks for comfort and pleasure. An excuse to still his beating, anxious heart. He hasn't gotten drunk in close to 8 years, since they were last together. From that day, he's been sober, forcing himself to feel the heartache. Too scared to try to give another his love. Wasn't his to give considering she still has it. There's a knock at the door, much to his surprise. This loner hasn't any friends. He's an author, recluse, introvert who loves his solitude. He grows aggravated. Just the sound of someone at the door makes his heart race. He grows anxious. He's always been taken advantage of for what he can do for everyone. He grew up with love and kindness in his heart, and over time the world had beaten him of his joy and replaced it with jaundice. The knocking becomes incessant. Wherever his calling wants to be answered and will refuse to take no for an answer. He swigs the entirety of the scotch and places the glass down, readying himself for the abuse he's bound to receive. It'd be nothing new. 5 steps away from the door, he smells the sweetness. An intoxicating aroma of caramel-based perfume mixed with petrol. His curiosity builds, so he opens the door to see a tall, athletically lean brunette with small hips, perfect for grasping and holding. She's striking, and it wouldn't be the first time she took his breath away. Her hair is soaking wet with the gasoline. Her regret-filled eyes are puddled, but it's hard to differ the fuel from the tears. "Penelope?" he'd ask. She never answers, only smiles. She wants nothing more than to reach out and grab him, to beg him to forgive her and rid herself of the guilt she's carried in her soul for nearly a decade. But she says nothing. Instead, reaching up with her hand, her fingers gripped tightly around a lighter, she flicks her thumb and engulfs herself in flames. But she doesn't even make a sound, only continues to grin. He reaches for her, but the flames are too intense. As he screams in agonizing pain, he always manages to wake himself. Spencer broke it off with Penelope when she slept with a childhood friend. In their home, in their bed, under their sheets. With condoms, Spencer had bought the week before to have sex with his fiancée because she ran out of birth control. He never knew he was stocking up for another guy. He's always had a hell of a sense of humor. Somewhere in his story, a betrayal is one kicker of a fucking joke. He hasn't had the time to think of it. Instead, focusing his energy on his writing, within his mind where another world lives, one which he controls. One where emotional suffering dominates happiness. His phone rings, echoing throughout his dark bedroom. Spencer fidgets and groans. He's a night owl, hard to fall asleep, and when he does, it always seems there's something more powerful than him, like chance or bad luck, forcing him to wake. He turns and grabs his phone from the nightstand to see Ma is calling. He's no desire to hear his mother bitch about his father already. She's done it before, over snoring. Both of his parents are retired. What else is there for her to do? His mom had never spent 24 hours a day with her husband while they were busy with their careers. Now he's driving her batshit insane since they don't have to wake up early and head off to their separate jobs. I'll call her when I wake up. I'm not in the mood for this bullshit, Spencer thinks, and he's good for it. The ringing stops, and for a moment he can feel the seduction of sleep falling over his deprived eyelids. He closes his mind to the world and begins to doze off. The phone rings again. Fuck, Ma! He reaches over and answers the cell. I'm up, you win. What did Dad do this time? There's no immediate response, only silence. Hello? He asks. She's so dramatic. Alright, I'm sorry, I was sleeping. What is it? Still no answer, only sobbing. The sound of snot and tears make when they drip down onto the lips of the saddened. His mother's crying. Hey, Ma, what is it Dad? No, she replies finally, her voice somber. It's Ollie. What about Ollie? Is he okay? Spencer has always loved his brother. They just grew apart as he became older, as most siblings and friends do, and they were both. Different paths lead to different prerogatives in life. No one's fault, it's just life. The lack of a response, let alone she hasn't yet to deny it, he grows worried. Ma, is Oliver okay? She answers. Hardly the answer he was looking for, but the one he started to expect. Ollie. Spencer, he's dead. Even for this 31-year-old man with a roughened heart, he was never ready for the news. 5 days later. Can anything other than sadness be compared to wrongfulness? When someone so young and with such promise is taken from this world. For a man with an astoundingly kindred heart to be ravaged by the dark, hidden, and filthy forces created and executed by the cruelest natures of both humans or beast? The old Catholic priest questions. He's asking Spencer. He's asking their mother, Lucille. Graying hair, balding from years of tight ponytails. A proper church-going, God-fearing woman. She wears a veil covering her sadness. He's asking their father, Calvin. Harsh, bald, and angry. Not just about his son's death, but the world itself. He's asking the flock, to the many, and there are many, who have come from all around to pay their last respects to a man they all revered and loved. Oliver Ranger Montford. The question, of course, was rhetorical. The man of God continues. Let us not forget he has a plan and path that we all must follow. No matter how blind we may be to it, nor the dangers of hindrance we must traverse with but only hope in our hearts. We follow him blindly because we believe in hope and his love never to steer us wrong. Even if the plan cannot be processed to be understood simply, it is not our place. We follow. Do not question how, why, because it is the will of He who is all-knowing. Spencer always had a hard time believing any of the church's gospel. He grew up believing in religion as Lucille and Calvin commanded. Spencer grew old, so too did the spite towards his folks for never having had a chance to believe in anything other than what was forced into his head. He's an author with an inquisitive mind. It's his life's journey to question everything and expand his beliefs farther than just a man in the sky. Let us not forget Oliver Montford. Ollie, known to many as a kind man, dedicated friend, loyal brother, and loving son. A soul who has ascended to the higher heavens and will be forever cradled in the bosom of love itself. Can we all stand? The room of mourners stands in unison, all except Spencer. Lost in his mind, all he can do is remember when he and his brother were children. The adventures they would go on, pretending to be Indiana Jones and the Lone Ranger versus the armies of voodoo tribesmen and rogue cowboys. Let us pray. Eternal rest grant unto Ollie, O Lord, and let perpetual light shine upon the sun. May the souls of the faithful departed, through the mercy of you, God, rest in the sense of forever peace. Help guide the mourning into the understanding of your wisdom, infinite knowledge of your love, and unquestionable guidance. Amen. Lucille grips her son's hand with might as they follow down the steps as the pallbearers carry Oliver towards the hearse. Tears stream freely from Lucille's eyes to no surprise. Her darkened glasses or veil can't hide her sorrow, nor should they ever have to. She's never been strong enough to protect her feelings, and right now she doesn't give a shit who sees. Unlike her husband Calvin, ever reliable. Tough old grouch, he feels nothing. Never. That's his lie. He became the hateful man his folks wanted him to be. Hey, Spence? The woman's voice calls out. Spencer recognizes the voice as he turns to see the brunette woman from his dreams. Or they better be explained as nightmares. Penelope Privet, his ex-fiancé, his ex-lover, with whom he is still in love with. Her nervous smile fades when she sees the disdain in his eyes. Long time, she innocently states. Lucille grabs hold of Spencer's face and kisses upon the cheek. She knows Spencer has always loved this girl since as far back as she can remember. There's still passion. Only her son won't push aside his anger to give her another chance, to attempt happiness one more time. For his own sake. "It's okay. Drive with Penelope," Lucille suggests. Spencer nods at Penelope as he leans toward his mother's ear, whispering, "Ma, I can't." "She's hurting, Spence. You're hurting. Talk with her for Ollie. I raised you better than to keep a grudge." She doesn't give him enough time to respond as she walks towards Penelope and gives her a giant, tight hug. "I'm so sorry." Penelope's throat tightens. "I loved the Ollie." Lucy smiles. To hear the praise of her deceased son makes the pain subside for only a moment. It is that moment that gives her peace. Always nice to see the people Oliver had affected in his journey, what he meant to them. "I know, dear," is all Lucille replies. The line of over 20 vehicles travels no more than 10 miles per hour. The flashing of the caution lights can be hypnotizing. For this black parade that follows Oliver to his final resting place, Spencer's mind is spinning. His brother is dead, murdered with favor. Family was never told of their marriage and the uniting of the Nans and Montforts. Maybe it's for the best. On top of that, he's stuck in a small accident with the woman who ripped his heart out and wrung the love out like a sponge. Penelope is staring and he could feel her gaze burning through him. "You look good," Penelope compliments. Spencer rolls his eyes. "When did you get the Hyundai? It's pretty small for a man who used to own a 250. She smiles. Never great at small talk. "What more does a single man need?" Spencer asks, taking a chance to throw a jab at her. "I guess you're right. I like it." "Thanks. Must save on gas." He turns his head at her and asks, "What is it you want?" "What do you mean?" "I'm here to show respect to Ollie." "Beyond that, Penelope." She takes a second to compose herself. "Just wanted to tell you I was sorry. I've heard it before. And you'll hear it again. And that's supposed to change everything? Is it too much to hope for?" "Yes, it is," Spencer replies. She turns and looks out her window. "I tried calling you, at least like 100 times. You changed your number." "I know. Could I have it?" "For what?" "To talk with you." She sees how uninterested Spencer is. "Why do you hate me?" "You... what?" "Hate you. I hate you." "You do. You have, I see it." "Then you already know why." She's taken the blame for everything and denied what she had done. Whore, slut, liar. She heard them all from everyone who has ever lived in Willow's House, where they both grew up. She's felt ineffectual all these years. She needs forgiveness. That isn't enough for her. She needs him. She needs Spencer the same as he still wants her. "No forgiveness, then?" she asked. Spencer shakes his head. "Not for me." "Thought you'd have figured that out by now." "I still think of you." "It's nice." "You still... love you?" Spencer misinterprets. "No," she replies. "I was gonna ask, do you think of me?" "No." Spencer lies. "Do you love me still?" He tries his best to ignore her. If the answer is no, she's gonna know he's lying. Doesn't want to give her the benefit of the doubt. Even if he does want to scream yes. The longer he takes to respond, she'll know anyway. "Can we not do this? Please, I have other shit on my mind, like burying my baby brother." "Thanks." Guilt washes over her face and she feels greedy and disrespectful. Not what she intended. Take advantage of the current mood to get her answers. She honestly wants to spend time with Spencer. Time with the man she can't and has never stopped thinking about. Spencer still remembers when he broke Ollie's right leg. Fractured tibia. He was 13 and Oliver was 10. Hardly seemed like an accident, just two boys who were bored and with nothing better than to do. To torment each other. Their roughhousing had one simple rule. Just make sure you were faster than the person you were pissing off. You can't get your ass kicked if you don't get caught. Although Oliver was never able to outrun Spencer, even well into his adult life. "I'm gonna tell Mom you were smooching with Penelope," Oliver would tell his older brother, teasing him. "You better not," Spencer would warn. "Or what? Dad's gonna kick your ass." "You little shit, not if I kick your ass first." Spencer chased after little Ollie. It had just snowed, not heavily, but enough to cover and fill in the divots around their property. Willow's house had flatlands, but most of her ground was rocky and with holes hidden throughout. The terrain was very much so mountainous. But that day, and only that day, Ollie was outrunning Spencer. Hard to understand how. Perhaps Oliver was going to tell their parents, or it could be that he didn't want to get his ass beat by his brother. It didn't last long. As they rounded the corner of their home, Oliver's foot got wedged into a hole, and the rest was easy. It was all momentum. Part of his body wanted to go forward, while the other did not. His body weight shifted against his leg, and snap. Spencer did feel horrible, even though it wasn't his fault per se. He was more concerned with what his dad would say, think, or do. The screams of pain and disbelief as a result of Oliver's constant discomfort seems to be the only fluid part of that memory. But he's never forgotten. Ollie never took pain well. Lucille and Calvin Montfort still live in their 2-floor A-frame home that they bought back in the 80s. It was nothing special, just easier to manage the large amount of snow that falls annually. They never have to worry about their roof caving in from the immense weight of a substantial snowstorm, which happens quite frequently. The only distinctive feature that never originally came with the home was the wraparound porch that ties into the back deck. They never had much of a yard, and as their sons grew, there was never a need for it at all. Calvin was too old to mow, never had interest for lawn upkeep. He'd instead go fishing, and the same goes for Lucy. She always imagined herself growing a garden, but now she's in the twilight of her life. She could just go to the market and buy produce. Why waste time hoping she could grow a green thumb when she doesn't have to? Spending time with her husband and doing things I never imagined was possible. That was her initial goal upon retirement. Even if she doesn't remember what it was like when they first started dating, she only knows of the struggle they both deal with now that they're spending all their time together. Truth be told, they don't like each other since they finally learned who they were as individuals. For them, when they were wed, it was different. Love never had to be involved in a relationship, just similar goals. Lucille was nothing more than a woman with birthing hips, and Calvin was a means of sustainability. They're married, but are barely friends. She wants to travel. He doesn't. She wants to visit family outside of Massey. He doesn't. She wants to shop. He doesn't. She wants to picnic. And of course, he doesn't. The old man wishes for nothing more than to sit in front of his television set, crack open a beer, light up a stogie, and watch the news so he can keep up with the who hates who. Besides his reservations and her persistence, it has been a peaceful retirement for both of them up until now. The guests have already filled the home attending the funeral reception. A rather large house, but it pales when there are easily 40 people lounging around, sharing stories of why Oliver was essential to them, in all manners. And of course, Lucy is loving it. Oliver this, Oliver that. Sweet baby boy was a genuinely lovely person. Not an angel by no means, but his intentions were pure. It's too much to handle for a morning, Spencer. For him, there shouldn't be anyone here. He shouldn't have to be here. Ollie is dead and that pisses him off. Bear attack. So they told him. A rabid animal that had managed to kill 4 people that night alone. A mostly reclusive creature that took it upon himself to chase down a vehicle and rip it to shreds. It's unheard of. Plausible. There would have been too many variables for a bear to go through all that trouble to believe it, though. Truth? He doesn't know what to think or what could have killed Oliver or Favor. Makes his way through the crowd and heads towards the back door, walking outside for some time to himself. He'd leave now if his mother didn't bitch about it later. The night air smacks him right in the face as it seeps down into his lungs. It's brisk, still as refreshing. Leaning against the railing, he pulls out a pack of menthol cigarettes. He retrieves one from the package and lights it up. The flame is so much brighter in contrast to the surrounding darkness. Everything that is in front of his face disappears behind it. Then the flame dies. He inhales and lets the smoke escape into the night as a toxic cloud fills the black. It's then Spencer notices how bright the moon is, so demanding of his attention, hovering high over his head. He can't help but stare back. It's seductive even. A woman undressing in the window, knowing someone is looking in, but does nothing to cover herself up. Only piece by piece she entirely strips. He can't look away, her sway is supernatural. The back door slides open and his first thought is Penelope. She hadn't shown up yet, and his parents knew well enough to leave him alone when he smoked. But Penelope never did. "I don't want to talk," Spencer says without even turning around. "And I don't care," the man responds. Spencer turns around to see a sheriff's deputy, Kenneth Preddy, standing tall and imposing. Not the biggest man, but taller and broader than Spencer. His caterpillar, thick blonde mustache is hanging over his upper lip, his brown eyes locked on his ex-best friend. What the hell is with today? Rolling his eyes, Spencer turns back around, tugging on his cancer stick. "Just here paying my respects." "Thanks. See ya." Spence, it's been a long fucking time. I felt bad enough, and I'm done killing myself for what happened. Doesn't matter anymore. Kenneth walks up to the railing next to Spencer and leans on it. "Give me shorts on the cigarette." Spencer hands it over. "Keep it," he offers. "Hey man, I just wanted to drag. It's cool, I was done." "Whatever." Ken doesn't smoke it. Instead, he rests it on the railing, letting the ash fall to the ground below. "You shouldn't be out here alone." "Why? Killer bear might get me?" "No, that's absurd. Your brother was buried today. You should be inside with your family." "That's why I'm alone." "Just figured you'd..." "Ken, I don't want shit. Especially from you." Kenneth smiles at Spencer's persistence. "Wow." "Yeah, wow." "Spence. Holy shit, you know how to hold a fucking grudge, man, I'll give you that." Spencer nods his head, eyes still fixated on the dark forest surrounding them as Kenneth finally takes a drag, coughing from the inhale. "Yeah, I remember my first time too," Spencer jests. "Yeah, well, I stopped smoking 3 years ago. Why ask for shorts?" "Because I wanted to be cool like you, Spencer." "Idiot." Spencer smirks. "So..." Kenneth goes to take another drag off the cig before deciding against it. He flicks it off the deck. "You don't believe it was a bear, do you?" "Fuck no." "What do you think it was?" "I don't know. Maybe someone Ollie must have pissed off." Ken nods and stares into the darkened forest before he too looks up at the full moon. "So if it wasn't a bear, then what? You think it was a man?" "Of course I do. Listen, a man could do a lot of things, Spencer. But I don't think he'd be able to bend and rip steel." "And bears do?" "Probably. Probably not." "So you tell me what you think, Mr. Deputy." Ho ho ho, Spencer. "I don't think. I know." "Bullshit, the sheriff would have told us. If they know the truth?" Kenneth nods. "Remember those stories we heard when we were all kids? The ones Ollie was scared shitless of?" "Which? He was scared of everything." "Yeah, he was, wasn't he?" "No, I'm talking about the ones of Willow and Mabella. The ones we were raised on. Searching through the woods and all that stupid shit when we were young. Witches, demons, and werewolves." "Yeah, Kenny, I remember the stories. A little too old to believe in witches and Satan anymore. They're fun back in the day, but this is real life. Yet in real life, your brother and his chick were just mauled by a large animal. That doesn't pique your interest even a bit?" "Come on, man." Spencer shakes his head and turns to go back inside. "You're a fucking cop. You're making up these stories. Maybe you should be finding my brother's real killer." "I believe." "So then believe." "I believe in the werewolf of Willow's house, Spence. Because I've seen it." "Yeah, real funny." No, it's not funny. Here, in this forest, I've seen it not even 5 miles from where we are standing right now. It doesn't venture out beyond these trees. It's smart hitchhiker here, camper there, Boy Scout or Girl Scout once in a while during a camp out. Seems simple enough. People believe in the black and white. They claim it's bears, therefore don't take it too seriously. Have we ever had problems with bears in Willow's hell ever before, Spencer? Think. Spencer doesn't even believe he's entertaining the idea. Surely Kenneth is making fun. But he answers regardless. No bears. Doesn't mean they can't migrate here. Things change every second of every minute, every hour of the day. So I can only imagine what would change in close to a decade. That's true. But what if I can prove it? Are you done? I need to get back to my family. Seriously, Spence, fuck, I'm not lying. I can prove it. How? I've told you. I've seen it. It always goes back to where it's killed, habit or something, looking for leftovers. I don't know why, but it does. Hell, maybe they're not so different than human serial killers, revisiting the crime scene. Alright, then tell me, how has it not killed you? I keep my distance. Enough. I only clean up after him. I'm no threat to him. Or food. Maybe he doesn't like my stench. Spencer laughs in a mocking manner and turns back to the house. He reaches for the handle when Ken grabs him by the arm. Let go of my arm, please. Intensity is quaking in Ken's iris. It killed Ollie, your brother. Let me show you how.